Welcome back. In Islam, we often hear the saying of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, that marriage is completing half your faith. Given the sacredness of marriage, we must ask ourselves, how can we ensure our marriages are strong and successful despite the rise in divorce rates these days? I have the pleasure of interviewing Haleh Banani right here at the All Women's Conference, Being Me, to help us explore the topic of marriage counseling. Haleh Banani has a master's in clinical psychology with 20 years of experience working with couples and individuals on a variety of issues, including marriage. She is also the host of her own TV show, With Haleh, which combines principles of psychology and Islam to help people reach their potential. Let's hear more from her now on the topic of marriage counseling. Welcome to the show, Haleh. Thank you so much for coming on.
It's a pleasure to be here.
So I know you're definitely a pioneer when it comes to understanding marriage counseling within your work. You have 20 years of experience. I'm just wondering, what kinds of issues do you get when it comes to marriage counseling?
Are you ready for this?
Of course, I'm all excited.
All right. Well, it is a spectrum of problems that I see. Sometimes it's just the daily disputes of not being able to communicate, having in-law problems. Sometimes it's intimacy, that seems to be a big problem. And then other times, unfortunately, it could be infidelity. It could be a lot of more serious issues.
Now, this is interesting. The counseling that you target is for Muslim couples,
right?
But the issues that you're talking to me about are issues that I wouldn't think, especially things like infidelity, that are like you wouldn't think they'd exist in the Muslim community. So
I
it
know,
is happening.
It is happening, and it's happening with practicing Muslims, people who are praying, people who are going to the mosque. Unfortunately, we are not immune to this problem. And I think we need to stop sticking our head in the sand, pretending that our community is immune to this, because I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it on a daily basis where people have certain addictions, they're following their desires, and unfortunately it leads to a lot of issues. So we need to address it. Yeah.
And what kinds of advice do you give people? Because you have your own, I know you have your own 5 Pillars of Marriage course,
right,
and you work directly with couples as well. So how does that, walk me through how that works?
The marriage program?
Yes.
Okay, well this is our baby. My husband and I put it together, alhamdulillah. It took 3 years in the making.
Oh, perfect.
Alhamdulillah. So what it is it focuses on 5 pillars, right? And so the first one is self-development, on working on yourself. So whether you're married or not, you could get started on making yourself the person that would attract the individual you're hoping to get, right? And continuously working on yourself emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, in every aspect.
So having a sense of confidence as an individual
self-esteem,
person.
Absolutely, and this is, I think, the missing link in a lot of other programs where the focus is not so much on yourself, it's just on the relationship, but you have to be working on yourself, right? And then the second is like on friendship, how to build this amazing friendship, because that is what makes marriages last through 40, 60 years,
yeah,
right? And it's all about building that rapport, having quality time, how to make that person feel loved and special and a priority. So that's pillar 2. Pillar 3 is spirituality, where your connection with Allah dictates how you treat your spouse, how the fact that you're going to be accountable makes you be so cautious, and you see your spouse as the way to Jannah. So it's not just about if he's nice to me, I'm nice to him. It's about, I want to please Allah through.
Purpose.
Exactly, that higher purpose. And then the 4th is conflict resolution, just knowing how to solve problems, because most people don't have a clue, right? We haven't had examples. People either explode or they ignore, they act like a 2-year-old. So we need to come up with mature ways to resolve the conflicts that we have.
Well, and you're never actually taught how to deal with conflict, whether you're in school or university. Like, that's not something.
Exactly.
Right?
And I always thought, you need a course in any field you go into, but we don't have a course for how to have a successful marriage, and that's what motivated me. And the 5th pillar is on sexuality, because this is something, it's a taboo subject, and a lot of people have not learned about it from an Islamic perspective. They may get their information from other sources, but this is in an Islamic framework, and it's in the order for a reason, that you have to have each thing in order to have that great relationship.
And at what point, I know you said, you've done marriage counseling for quite some time, and obviously the course sounds very comprehensive. At what point in your career did you decide, okay, I'm going to focus on marriage counseling?
From the very beginning.
From the very beginning.
Yeah, from the very beginning. I think one of the first client I had was a serious marriage problem that was going on. So from the very beginning, I've been treating couples, and it's been a passion of mine, and doing premarital therapy as well. I do like Skype therapy sessions with international clients, and it's interesting because regardless of where they're from, the problems are the same.
Yeah.
They really are.
And do you ever get any non-Muslim couples as well for counseling purposes?
I've had non-Muslim clients where it's someone from New Zealand, and I was like, what gets you to come to a Muslim female, muhajjaba?
Exactly.
And he had heard a lecture, and he said it penetrated into my heart. And subhanAllah. But as far as couples, I've worked mainly with Muslims, but inshallah in the future we can expand that.
Well, it just sounds like the issues are so, relevant to Muslims and non-Muslims, so it seems like only a natural.
Right. Well, it was interesting because I did a series for Muslim Matters. It was like short little advice on marriage, and someone wrote in, it's like, I'm not a Muslim. I don't even agree with the principles, but this information I feel like really affected me, and I feel that it could be pertinent to anyone. So, alhamdulillah.
Amazing. If there's one advice that you would give to our viewers who are watching, two pieces of advice. Okay. One who maybe is a newly married couple who's, trying to figure each other out and surviving with each other, and then maybe one piece of advice to people, and I know personally a lot of couples who are going through very challenging situations, and how do they want to keep it together? What's your...
The first advice is learning all about these skills, right? Learn the skills, learn how to prevent problems before you get into the marriage. I think that's why it's so important. Some individuals come in for premarital therapy, and I respect that so much because they're coming in, they're in love, they want to make it work, and that's the best time to learn because you're motivated, you think this person, yes, lovey there, and it's a perfect time to learn and apply it. So learn the skills. Learn how to prevent the problems before they occur.
Now, I have to pause you here and ask. I've heard a lot about premarital therapy in an idea. What is it exactly? What do you teach rather when it comes to premarital therapy?
Right. So a lot of the same material that I cover in the 5 pillars of marriage, right? So it's about learning how to continuously work on yourself, learning how to come to an agreement. How do you come to a compromise? How do you prevent things from escalating? So it's like all of the problems that may occur. I just had actually one of the volunteers said, you gave me advice last year right before I got married, and it's saved my marriage. And I said, what did I say? She said, when it came to dealing with in-laws, you told me lower your expectation to 0, just lower it. And she said, I am now living with my in-laws, and anytime I start getting worked up or upset, I remember that, and it really calms me down. So knowing these things before you get into a problem, because usually when people come for therapy, it's an ultimatum that they have given their spouse. You either come to therapy or I'm out of here, right? And it's like maybe 10 years.
So it's like on the verge of breaking.
10 years of baggage, and yes, we can overcome that. It takes a lot of effort, but not many people have the ability to forgive and let go, right?
Yeah.
So at that point, as far as I think you asked the question about those individuals.
Yeah, who are in a situation where they're on the verge of breaking.
Right. Don't give up hope, right? Because I have individuals that wrote in, this one convert said that my husband has already written out the divorce papers. And they started, watching the videos. They said, we only watched 2 or 3 videos. It's like we stopped the divorce, alhamdulillah. So don't give up hope. You can change it, even if you're the only one working on the relationship, because not everyone is motivated to go through the process. But if you're working on yourself and you change your mannerism, you change the way you treat your spouse, they're going to react to you differently.
And how would you, that's amazing advice, thank you for that.
Sure.
How would you, I guess as we wrap up, what would you say to, delineate some of the stigma around counseling? Because to be honest, when you throw the word, oh, we need marital counseling, that's equivalent of saying we need help because that's it, we've given up. And you kind of don't go around publicizing, I'm seeking help.
Right. First of all, you don't have to publicize it, right? So
Of course.
it's a private issue, and I think the fact that it is a Skype therapy session, for a lot of people, it gives them the comfort that they don't have to walk into an office and they see like 5 of their friends.
That's true.
So the privacy is there, confidentiality is there. And something that I really respect is that many of the shuyukh have really evolved throughout the years, and they have come out and said the importance of seeking professional expert help, and they have even come out and said that they sought therapy, and I think that there's nothing wrong with it, right? I think if you have some kind of medical problem, if you're suffering from a heart disease or you have cancer, would you just ignore it? And what would you think of a person who doesn't deal with those medical problems?
Crazy.
You would think,
Yeah.
you know, you were being so negligent.
Exactly.
And yet, when we have these emotional issues, when we have, let's say, the depression, or we have fights with our spouse, it's not going to just go away. It's like a toothache, right?
That's true.
The toothache is not going
Exactly.
away unless you address it. And when you address it, it's so simple. It
Yeah.
really is simple. So, you know, first of all, we shouldn't think about what others are thinking about us. You don't have to publicize it, and it seriously helps, right? I have seen people go from being suicidal to celebrating life. And so you don't have to suffer, right? It's just like
That's such a positive note to end on. Thank you so much, Haleh.
You're so welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Hey YouTube, we hope you benefited from this video. If you liked it, or if you didn't, let us know in the comments below. And if you're interested in learning more, check out some of our other videos. And don't forget to subscribe so you can get new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.